So for those just joining, Lindsay Norman is on with us again for part two of a deep dive into her trainings and her onboarding processes, some of the principles that she follows. And if you missed last week, or I guess it was last session that she did, it was a few weeks ago, go to the Share Success YouTube channel and you can catch it there. So super excited to hear from you. I don't have the Facebook Live started, but let's go ahead and dive in. So
Okay,
take it away, Lindsay.
awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much, you guys, for letting me be with you today. Today, we're going to talk about phase 3 of the business. And so if you were with us before, we talked about how you can see the business in 3 phases. And the first phase is really exploratory. It's when you have people who are thinking about doTERRA as a business, but they're not really sure if it's right for them. So you've got this exploratory stage, and then you have onboarding and launching. That's phase 2. And so in our last call, we talked about both of those, which was a lot, right? It was a lot. And then today we're talking about what does just ongoing growth look like? Like, what should I be doing in the day to day to be set up for success? Now, I tend to do this naturally. I tend to chew and spit. Like, what I mean by that is I chew on things that I think I like and that might work for me, and then I spit out the things that don't. And I actually want to encourage you to do the same thing with anything that I'm training on. So always chew on the content. If it feels good to you and you're like, I think I might like that, or I think I might want to try that, or I think I can implement that, then take it, swallow it, enjoy it. If it is not, spit it out. So chew and spit all the time. I teach my kids to do that with things that they're consuming, right? We're always taking in information. So you chew it and you spit out the bad stuff or the stuff that just isn't for you. And so I want you to have complete freedom in that. Now, the other thing as we're looking at phase 3 is this is the phase where like you are responsible for your business. You've gotten to the point where you've been given vision, you've launched, and now it's like, okay, what does my business look like? So at this point, what's really going to be driving you is where do you want to go in doTERRA and why do you want to go there? So I just want to encourage you kind of as a general principle in your business of like, why are you here and what do you want to accomplish? Okay, so I think being clear on those 2 things then motivates you and it gives you a reason to get up every day and do the work. Okay, so why are you here and what do you want to accomplish? So know those things, get clear on those things, because like I said, that is what is your motivation to get up and do the things that sometimes are going to be hard and that sometimes are going to be easy. And I want to encourage you that while carrots are really fun, like incentive trips and leader programs, that if that is what drives your business, I want to actually challenge you to go back and think about what, even if a carrot wasn't there, what gets you up every day? Okay, the carrot should be extra. The carrot shouldn't be the driving force of like what motivates you, right? To do the next thing. Again, we love carrots. So, but I just want to challenge you, like if your business is going to live and die on the carrot, then you're basically making your business at the will of whatever doTERRA or your team is going to provide for you instead of being internally motivated to do what you want to do with this business. So those are just kind of some general principles that I have for you guys to start us off. I think that's where we want to start. Okay. Any questions before we head into some of the principles here? Know your why. Know what you're going after. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys 5 tips today, and then we're going to kind of flesh them out. So tip number 1 is it's going to kind of play off of what I just shared, know what you're doing and why you're doing it, but it's going to be goals. Tip number 1 is goals. And you're probably going to shut down right now and like, oh, I've heard everything that there is about goals, and that's fine. But again, you need to know where you're going. So what I always do is I know ultimately where in doTERRA I want to be. Okay. And so what that does for me then is now this is how we coach on our team. Where do you want to be at the end of this year? What do you want the end of this quarter to look like? And then what should this month look like? So you're always working backwards. So essentially, if I know ultimately where I want to be in doTERRA, then I can say, okay, by the end of 2025, this is where I want to be on the way to that long-term goal. This quarter, at the end of this quarter, we just started a new quarter, so in quarter 2. So at the end of June, where do I want to be on track for the end of 2025? And then this month, what should I be doing to make sure I get to where I need to be at the end of this quarter, right? So it's ultimately, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be at the end of this year to help me get to that long-term place? Where do I need to be at the end of this quarter? And then what does that mean for this month, right? So again, it's helping you break down those steps into much more achievable, doable things that you can then focus on this month, right? So you're looking at ultimate, end of the year, end of the quarter, end of the month. Now, so now we're going to kind of look at what do your months look like and what are some best practices that you should be doing. And of course, you guys, we're not going to do this call without talking about the quadrant. So you've probably heard about the quadrant, and I will do a brief share just so you have a visual on the quadrant. But I won't spend a ton of time on it also because I'm guessing you've heard about it. But I do think it's really important to kind of share the principle behind that and what it's there for. So if you are at leadership, you heard me talk about the quadrant. It is my business monthly planning tool. And you can use it for a weekly planning tool or a monthly planning tool. It's also really great as a leadership tool to mentor your advocates. Here's what this does. First of all, it helps you identify the 4 areas of our business. It's new customers, current customers, new builders, current builders. That right there is our business. So what this model does is it helps you know what to focus on, but it also helps you know what do I not focus on. Because anytime you're building any business anywhere, whether you're in direct sales or not, there is a lot of noise and there is a lot of things that are going to be vying for your time. And the best thing that you can do is learn to know what to say no to, even if it's really, really good. And even if it has a lot of value for information and knowledge, but if it does not fit into one of these 4 buckets, these 4 buckets are your priority. This is what grows your business. So this is really great because when I'm dealing with like advocates who are stuck, I'll say, let's go back to your quadrant. What is in your 4 quadrants? So what is your new customer strategy for this month? Have you done this yet? And if they're like, I don't know, I really haven't had a chance to think about it. It's like, okay, let's start here. Let's start filling out a strategy in each of these boxes. So we want to help our advocates get really clear that you need to have at least one strategy in each of these boxes to know what to focus on that week or that month. And I say that week or that month because if you've got more of a full-time advocate working, they can absolutely be filling out this quadrant every week and say, okay, this week, the way I'm going to spend my time in each of these quadrants is this, I'm going to have one strategy in each of these things, and that is my to-do list this week. Everything else is extra. So scrolling through Facebook feeds and social media feeds is extra. Getting on all the extra calls is extra. Everything on this quadrant is primary. So when you're looking at, most people are not going to say, I have so much extra time. I'm bored. I don't know what to do with my time. No, they say, I'm busy. I'm stretched for time, right? So this is your time management tool. This is telling you where to spend it. And I would just encourage you to be really vigilant about prioritizing what goes on this quadrant, at least that's a quadrant. So the stuff on the left, your customer stuff, is going to be how you grow your business using addition. And the stuff on the right is going to be how you build your business using multiplication. Personally, I tend to gravitate towards the right side because of my goals in the business, and I love leader development. And so I tend to spend most I would say time that I spend is not equal, but if you tend to gravitate towards the left side, which tends to be more tangible, it's skill sets that can be learned more quickly, I would actually challenge you to make sure you're filling out the whole quadrant. And the reason why I have people fill out the whole quadrant is because the quadrants on the right side often have skill sets that take a little bit longer to develop. They are not impossible to develop. They are actually very doable to develop, but most people feel rejection in that process of developing that skill set. And so when we get rejected, when we hear no's for potential builders, our brain likes to keep us safe, and it likes to say, okay, I need to stay away from that because that's not safe. So I'm going to stay in enrolling customer mode because I can do that. I can always get another new customer. But the beautiful thing about using the quadrant is it's forcing you to have to learn that skill set even when it feels uncomfortable. And it also creates consistency in your business every single week and month. So I highly recommend using this. If you're like, what do I focus on? What do I do? How do I develop the skill set of potential builders and recruiting and adding builders and developing builders? If you use the quadrant and stick to it, even if it feels uncomfortable, you will find over 6 months and 12 months, had you not put strategies on that right side and done them, you would not be developed where you are, okay? So we tend to avoid the things that are a little bit scary and the things that make us feel personally rejected, and I am no different. I've heard a lot of no's in my last 12 years in this industry, but I've learned when I balance my business correctly and develop that skill set, now I don't really care if I say no because I know there's yeses around the corner. So anyway, so use this quadrant and just remember it helps you focus on what to do and it gives you permission to say no to noise. So super important things there. And it also forces you to be focusing on behaviors that are business building and income producing. So a lot of times gaining more information, knowing how every single product works, knowing how every system works in doTERRA, knowing where all the resources are, you guys, that's not income producing. And you can even know all of those things and not be making a single penny. And you're not here as volunteers. You're here to make money. You're here to build a business. So let's keep you in business building, income producing mode first, and let the other stuff be extra, okay? So that was my tip number 2. Tip number 1 is goals. Tip number 2 is lead a balanced business. You can use the quadrant if you want to. And you can even work with your upline or some sidelines to brainstorm different strategies that you can put in here that, you know, again, work with other people to just generate ideas. And that is going to lead me to my tip number 3. But before I go into tip number 3, Andy, are there any questions in the chat that I can answer or that are paramount right now?
We have some minutia, but if people wanted examples of particular strategies in each of the quadrants, is that better for now or for later?
So I have a document that is shared between my leaders that has the 4 different quadrants and has ideas underneath all of the quadrants. I will make because ours is a master copy that we use. And so I will create a copy of that and share that with you so that you can share it. And I'll probably make it so it can't be moved or edited. But that will at least get you guys a lot of ideas. And actually, Blue Diamonds and founders and stuff have added to that document as well, because we kind of made it available to several leaders, like, hey, add a bunch of ideas here. So yes, let's get you guys that. I'll get you that after the call.
Perfect.
Yes, great idea.
Okay, and for those watching the replay, that link will be in the YouTube post, so down in the description. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Then. Anything else, Andy, on
that? No.
Okay. So here's tip number 3. And I think that this is something that people often overlook. I always say build with partnership. Now, most people hear that and think, okay, I need to bring in more builders. And yes, I think in general, you know, if you're building a business, yes, you always want to bring in more builders. That's great. But for you personally to grow, it's really important that you create sideline partnerships. So hear me out. I want to explain a couple of things. So most people, when they walk into doTERRA or direct sales, you have your upline relationship, and then you have the team that you're creating. And that's where you usually use your upline as kind of like a source, a sounding board, the person who helps me, right? And then you spend a lot of your time leading your team. But what most people don't do, which I think is actually the key to building strong and successful with a wealth of talent, is building the sideline relationship. So I find personally that I really have a skill set that is like this. But if I start partnering with other like-minded people who want to go kind of in the same direction at the same time, I really like them. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got some really great ideas. What it does is I start bringing people around the table, different leaders, and all of a sudden I realize that now the skill set and the talents that I can offer my team start to expand beyond just me. And so that means that I have to bring something to the table also, right? Like, it's not just like I'm going to go find people to do my work for me, but it's like, who can I start to partner with where like I can bring value to them and they can bring value to my team. And so it's built around these healthy partnerships. And that's honestly what Andy and Natalie, we've done even in this, like I went to them and I was like, hey, I would really like to do this up-level retreat with my leaders. I would love for you to be able to speak into them. And they're like, absolutely. Would you be willing to do some of these calls with my team for that, right? That's a partnership. Now they happen to be one of my uplines, but they pulled into a partnership role in that spot, right? Because they have skill sets and talents that I wanted my leaders to have value from. And then they were like, hey, you have skill sets and talents that we would love for you to offer for our team. And so what you're doing is you're acting in partnership with people. So now there might be some high level people underneath you who are like, they've got some great ideas. They have skill sets that I don't have, like they're on your team or maybe they're in your upline. And so those people might come into those partnership roles at times. But I really think, you guys, one of the keys to your growth is stepping into your strengths and then recognizing who you are and who you are not. And then being open to other people around the table who are like, hey, these people have skill sets and talents that I would love to draw on or learn from. And it might not always even be people who go in front of your team. They might just be for you. You might have a group of, I always loved to pod people in my last company because I felt like I couldn't serve the number of leaders that I had. It was just too many. So what I did is I started to pod leaders in groups of 3 to 5. And the way that I would pod them was based on where they wanted to go in the organization, how fast they were getting there, their kind of personality and business styles. And so what we did is we created pods of 3 to 5 leaders from different places in the country, but they became their own growth group. And so what they did is they generated ideas with each other. They would do things for each other's teams, but really they were an accountability group for each other. They became friends. And so what they found is like the ideas that they would create with each other ended up expanding, right? The ways that they could see the business, the ways that they helped challenge them and up level them in new ways. And what I found is it actually takes some pressure off of your upline. And I can say this honestly, like I've coached with some of my same people for like the last year or two. And there's times where I'm like, I've coached on this and I don't feel like I have what you need or what I'm giving you is you're not responding or receiving it in the same way as you used to be. And that is not a bad thing. So what you're actually doing is you're bringing people in that help expand their beliefs, their ideas, the way they see the business. So it takes some pressure off of your upline, but it also opens up new ideas and ways of doing the business that is healthy for you and your team. So when I say never build alone, build with partnerships, I'm talking about sideline partnerships. When you have that kind of support and those kind of partnerships, I actually find it also becomes easier to start building, finding builders, because you're like, okay, I see this network that I have, and I feel like really between us and my network and my upline, like I'm able to bring people into this because I feel good about the ideas and the support. So it can be a lonely road if you are like, my upline doesn't give me what I want, or we don't connect well. Like that's a lot of pressure for your upline. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think uplines do the best that they can, whether they're meeting all of your needs or not. I think uplines really do the best that they can, but also your success does not depend on your leader, on your upline. It depends on what you are gonna do in this business with partnerships and with your team. So if you're like, I don't even have an upline, it doesn't have to stop you from doing this business, okay? So that is where start looking for partnerships, perhaps people on this call, people that you've been in this business with for a while, who are going to say, okay, I'm ready to grow. So who wants to grow with me? And what do we want? Let's get on a call and just start ideating of what that can look like. Okay. So that's my principle number 3, grow with partnerships. And so that takes time. It just takes time. So when you're at conventions, go to dinner with those 3 to 5 people that you really like. Get on a weekly accountability call or a monthly call where you ideate, or you talk through roadblocks that your team is experiencing. But you're not only talking through roadblocks, by the way, you're talking through solutions. Do not let your partnerships become one where you are only discussing roadblocks, because you will literally be bringing each other down. You need to make sure if you're discussing roadblocks, you are talking about solving those problems in that call as well. So it's one thing to surround yourself with like-minded people who are negative and bringing you down. It is another thing to discuss honestly. I'm a leader who leads from reality. I never gloss over things, but I'm like, okay, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to solve for this? So make sure that you are problem solving. Okay. That was a lot of time on that. But any questions on partnerships? It's a principle, by the way, you guys. It's not black and white. So I'm not going to tell you like, this is exactly how that's going to look. You kind of have to explore what that's going to look like for you. Want to give a quick pause?
I don't
Go ahead,
see
Andy.
any specific questions to this. So, I mean, somebody asked about if your upline's not accessible, but I think you've already responded to that one. I just want to give a huge amen to this principle. Yesterday, we were, we were at the post office renewing our passports, and I see two of my kids talking to each other and sharing really deep things that we would never get from those kids.
Yes,
And then I realized that our children are a lot like Crossline. Like
yes,
they can create bonds and support for each other that simply is not possible with upline.
yep,
Because an upline has a vested interest in their downline, it creates this sometimes odd tension,
yes,
like I need you, and you know what I mean? Like it's so I just love the power of cross-line relationships. They're so crucial.
totally.
And it doesn't have
And
to
there will
be
all,
a
go
direct
ahead.
sister under the same downline. A cross-line could be someone totally different team, like
Yes,
20 levels up and 30 levels across. Doesn't even
yes,
matter.
totally. And honestly, you guys, if you are working towards a goal, like I tend to gravitate towards the people who are like, I follow, like who's at presidential and beyond, because I'm like, that's the way I want to be thinking. Those are the behaviors that I want to be doing. So when I came into this business, I'm like, I want to find the people who are doing that because I want to be learning from them. And I didn't force myself into those groups, but I'm like, I want to be thinking like that. So I want to be partnering and cultivating relationships with people who can help me think like a presidential. So again, think about where you want to go. If it's like, I want to be at gold by the end of this year or silver, a solid silver by the end of this year, who else is on that same trajectory who can help, get you there? So, and I agree, there is that unspoken tension between the upline and the downline of like, I'm getting paid on you or you're getting paid on me. And it creates this weird dynamic that, is just there. It's just there. So definitely foster those partnerships sidelines. And yeah, it does not have to be in your same team. It can be outside of your team, which sometimes has the greatest ideas because they've known how to do different things than what you've done. So expand those partnerships. Okay. Tip number 4, duplication. Now, this is where I talked briefly about this at leadership, but I want to spend a little bit more time on this. Some people are not going to like this. I pretty much don't do anything in my business that I cannot duplicate. So 70 to 80%, and I've been examining my time, 70 to 80% of where I spend my time in doTERRA is duplicatable, which means anybody can do it. All right. So the questions are for you with what you're doing currently in your business. Can others do what I am doing? Can they do the class that I am doing? Can they do the one-on-one that I am doing? Can they do the vendor event that I'm doing? Can they use the tools that I am using? And so one of the things that we tried to put in place, and it's going to go with my tip number 5, is having simple duplicatable systems that you duplicate from. This is where I don't want to step on any toes, but we do not use body scanners as a whole on our team. Now we have some people who have them and use them, but we do not duplicate from them. So like a Zyto scan, can you get enrollments from a Zyto scan? Absolutely. We have people who, like, not on our team, but I know in doTERRA, people use Zyto or Itobi and they kill it in enrollment. But what I found is we did explore this our first year, we had several people who got body scans. So here's what happened. They gave a body scan to somebody. That person wanted to learn more about the business. And they're like, how do I get the body scan? Well, it's $800 and there's a monthly fee. And they're like, oh, I can't do that. So like, what do I do? Well, we're actually going to teach you how to do this over here. But they're like, oh, I don't know what that is because I never came in doing that. So it's like they came in through a method that was not duplicatable for them to build. So then in the onboarding process, you're trying to teach them a new method that they never actually ever experienced. And so, but they were really captivated by that body scan, but it's not doable. And so it's one of those things where, do we have Itobis? Yes, we have some on our team, and Zytos. But we generally use systems that are free because most of our team members are still less than 2 years old and they are here for income. And so when we're looking at what can 80% of people do when they walk through our door, It has to be free or pretty reduced in price. It has to be doable or a doable investment for 80% of people if we're going to really push it on our team. So again, I'm not telling you shouldn't be doing Zyto scans. If you love the Zyto scan, do the Zyto scan, but I want you to actually hear why. People are like, well, are you doing Zyto? And you know, I'm like, I could do Zyto. There's actually several people on our team who could do Zyto and like kill it on enrollment. But I think it also depends on what business are you trying to create. And for me, because when you look at that quadrant, I'm trying to always pay attention to my multiplication sides of my quadrant, like that right side. I'm always thinking about what duplicates and multiplies. And so then I'm also asking questions like, what is preventing duplication and multiplication? Well, if I'm using tools that are expensive for new people, they're going to come in and be like, well, what do I use? Like all of you are using that, but what can I use? And it creates this thing in their brain that, well, if I'm not using what you're using, I actually cannot succeed. And I don't want that. I want them to think, well, this is what we're doing and everybody can succeed using these things. And so our wellness class that we do every week, it's foundational wellness class. It is simple. It talks about our 3 foundational wellness products plus 3 optional upgrades or add-ons. And we got the collagen and the Zendocrine complex and the Terrazyme. But we don't go into a lot of details on those, but it's foundational wellness for the most part. We do a monthly Learn More, like I've mentioned before. That agenda has been pretty much the same for the last 2 years. Like, and literally any leader can come on because our agenda is done. Any of our leaders can come on and execute that Learn More call. Like everything is like in terms of like our system is in place and duplicatable. Anybody can come in and lead a class. We have scripts for that. And so then a new person can come in, watch the class, do that, you know, and be able to execute it. So again, we duplicate from what the data also tells us in doTERRA. So this is another thought on this. The doTERRA data tells us that we have a 75 customer retention rate. The data is also telling us that our foundational wellness bundle is accounting right now for between 25 and 30% of our sales. So I'm like, why would we go outside of what the data is telling us is driving consumers? So like, let's hang out in those places like for our classes. So keep it really simple, foundational wellness, right? Get people on rewards orders. So the biggest takeaway from this tip on duplication is, it's a question you need to ask yourself, is what I'm doing, can others do what I'm doing? And you can break that down into all aspects of your business. So when I get on this call and I'm teaching a new person in launch mode today, I'm launching somebody, can somebody launch like I'm launching this person? If I get on a class and teach a class, can somebody teach the class that I'm teaching, or is it too complicated? Are there too many steps? I would venture to say you probably need to simplify, simplify, simplify. And remember that doTERRA is a marathon, right? So we don't need to accomplish everything in one class. We don't need to accomplish everything in the launch process. Like, it's okay for people to have curiosity. So when you're duplicating, duplicate from simple systems and simple processes, and just know, like, get people in the doTERRA door and then let them discover what is under the hood through, you know, other things along the way. So take yourself out of sprint mentality, put yourself into marathon mentality, and like, what are these systems up front that allow me to duplicate? And that's where we're going to head into our last and final tip, which is tip number 5, and that's going to be on systems. Okay, these two kind of go together. Karina, I have what's it called? Replays. I have replays on all of that. So I will make sure you guys have that. I put that in our last training that we did 2 weeks ago in that replay. There are 2 trainings that I've done for like the field of on doTERRA, and one is on multiplication. And so like, what is our team doing to multiply, to focus on multiplication growth? And in that replay, there is, in the description, there's a bunch of links to like a replay to our class, a link to our foundational wellness script and presentation. Like, we include all of that there. So if you want to see samples of those things and replays, you totally can. Our classes are for our live classes. We've had to really narrow that down to say these are for our team of advocates and their guests, because we do surveys in those classes. And so we're gathering information for our advocates from customers. And when we start adding in other advocates outside, like we cannot manage that. It ends up being too much. So we're open to sharing replays, but everything that's live on our team is for our team and then their guests. So great questions there. Okay, thanks, Andy, for doing that. Okay, so number 5 is systems. So I think it is in the book Atomic Habits. He says, your success will rise and fall to the, to the level of your systems, right? Atomic Habits. Your success will rise and fall to the level of your systems. And you guys, I am not a type A person. I think sometimes type A people have really great systems, albeit sometimes a little more complicated. But I do know that when you have some systems in place, it makes things so much easier. Now, I also know a lot of people are like, I'm not a systems person. I don't see that strategy. And this is where partnerships are really amazing. So when you're working with sidelines, you guys can actually create some systems together. And so I'm going to give you a couple of systems. And by the way, systems should remove roadblocks. That's the point of systems, right? They should remove roadblocks and they should foster growth. So systems remove roadblocks and they foster growth. All right, so I'll give you a couple of systems that we have used since probably the beginning when we started growing. And we've had massive growth, you guys. We could not grow like we have if we haven't had the systems. And the systems are not rocket science. That's what I love. They're not rocket science, but they do require some partnership in order to execute them. So system number 1, we do a weekly class. And the class is 35 to 40 minutes. It's a foundational wellness class. And then we do a survey. And then the last 15 minutes, we do a business overview. So it's a total of 1 hour. We do it every week. Now, it's foundational wellness, but one of those Tuesday nights is intro to essential oils. So people are like, do you ever talk about essential oils? Yes, we do. One of those Tuesdays of a month, we do intro to essential oils. So essentially, at our foundational wellness workshop every Tuesday night, we lay seeds, we plant seeds for our intro to essential oils class. And then at our intro to essential oils class, we lay seeds for our foundational wellness classes. They're always Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Now you might say, oh my goodness, I cannot be on there every Tuesday night at 7. And I'm like, no, you can't. And neither can I, which is why we have business partnerships, right? That's why we have a couple of people who are like, hey, I'll take the first week. I'll take the second week. I'll take the third week. I'll take the fourth week. And you make it work through your group of people that you're partnering with. Now, for me, I use my qualifying legs. So like 1 week, Rhonda Boss's team takes the foundational wellness. My second week, Sarah Shoemaker's team takes, the foundational wellness week number 2. The third week, we have Megan Dorsey's team take intro to essential oil. So like we do it like that, but you guys can really, like at the beginning, I didn't have all those legs. So what we did is we had 2 or 3 advocates conduct each of those classes. Now, you're probably thinking like, oh, you probably, like we end up having, I don't know, anywhere from 20 to 30 people on that class every week, but it's not always guests. Like, so our class, you guys, the system itself, why do we do the class? You might think, oh, it's to get enrollment. Well, we probably only have 3 to 5 guests every week on that class. So it's like, most people would say, oh, well, it's not worth doing it because you're only getting 3 to 5 people on that class. And that's not a lot for your time. But you have to understand what that system is actually doing on your team. That system is creating consistency. So now when I have new advocates who like aren't going to do their own classes, because we know that we have lots of advocates who just, they're great at one-on-ones, but they're not going to do a class. When they know every Tuesday night, my team has a class, do you know that they feel so much more free in that one-on-one, whenever that is happening, to invite people to a class on Tuesday night? So it's consistency. The other thing that Tuesday night class does is it is training for our new advocates. So when our new advocates just start, we're like, hey, do you want to pop on Tuesday night and see how we do a class? It allows them to pop on and see, how do I do this class? So what this class is doing is it's providing training for our new advocates, is allowing new advocates to grow with customers without our advocates needing to be experts yet, right? And then it also creates this safeguard for all of our team, where if they're having a one-on-one conversation, they want to invite to that, they can. So it's a consistent system that is always there. And actually last year, we took it away. And we're like, we let our, for like 3 months, we took it away, and we had like each of our individual teams kind of do like once a month or every other week. And It did not go well because now there was no longer consistency. We pulled the system out and we're like, we've got to put that system back in. And here's the other thing. When guests come on to that class and they see 20 to 30 people on that class, whether it's advocates or guests, they're like, whoa, this team is hopping. It's a recruiting tool, you guys. So people are looking at this class and being like, okay, I see that there have multiple people teaching this class, and what's this team like? Because like, how would I be a part of this? So it's a byproduct. The byproduct of this is it's a recruiting tool. So again, most people would look at this and say, well, you only had 3 or 4 guests at that class. I'm like, oh, no. That class is doing so many more things than just bringing on new customers. So that's why, yes, and it provides community too, Jeff. So there's so many things that system creates that has so many more benefits for the growth of your team that it's not necessarily saying. So it's got the tangible and the intangible. So that's what I would suggest. That's one of the things that we do. So it removes roadblocks, especially for your part-time advocates who, again, are not probably in it as much as you are. And so I want no roadblocks for my people who want to enroll 1 to 3 every couple of months, because we know that that's the majority of our team, right? Those people make up a lot of our team. So I'm like, how do I remove roadblocks for those people? Because I want them to feel like they can invite to things and not be experts, but they can enroll and have success here. I've mentioned the monthly Learn More several times, but the reason why we do a monthly Learn More, that's our business opportunity call. We don't have a presentation. It is not fancy. Like, we don't have PowerPoint. We just get on and we answer 6 basic questions. What systems are in place on your team? And what training and tools do I get? How do I learn about products? How does doTERRA support the customer? Who is doTERRA? Like, how do you make money? Like, those are all basic things that like the normal person wants to know. So at our Learn More, again, this is another thing. It's a system in place. It's usually the second Monday of every month. Here's what it does. We have about 30 to 40 people on that call. We just had it this last week. 30 to 40 people. Usually 5 to 10 are potential builders. Everybody else is advocates. We encourage all of our team members to get on that call every single month, because what it does is it helps keep them in the recruiting or builder mindset. It keeps the business opportunity in front of them. It helps keep them excited about what doTERRA has to offer. And we want that for our current builders. We want them to consistently hear the business, right? Because then they're more likely to go talk about the business to others and invite them to the Learn More. The other thing that the Learn More does is when you have something in place and you've got advocates who don't know how to share our business, which, you guys, our business can be a little bit complicated. And so there's a lot of advocates who are like, I don't want to have conversations because I don't know what to say. And so what the Learn More does is says, have the conversations and don't worry about knowing what to say. Invite them to this call and we will say it for you. So what it does, it frees them up to be like, oh, I can have a conversation about them, maybe wanting to learn more, and then I can invite them to the Learn More. So again, what it's doing is it's allowing your team members to grow their businesses and their teams without having the pressure of being an expert. They don't need to be an expert. So it's basically teaching your advocates how to become an expert as they're growing their team. So they're doing and learning at the same time. If you don't have those options, what I find is there are a lot of people who are like, I need to learn it all first before I start talking about it. And then you go down this hole of like information of like, I need to know more. I need to understand more. And you never end up acting. You only get information. So I'm like, no, you are going to act and learn at the same time. And the Learn More allows that. The other system we have in place is monthly team meetings or weekly team meetings. Like, I do a monthly team meeting for my whole downline, and then we do a monthly leader call right after that. And then, but my qualifying legs each do a weekly team meeting or a bi-weekly. So basically, they're connecting regularly with their team. However you want to do that, but they're connecting regularly with their team. Now, you've seen in the comments here, community is really important. And also encouragement, solving for things, new ideas. And if you don't know what to do on your weekly call, you can just do like 2 questions. So you might come every week and say, okay, you guys, there's 2 questions that we're going to do this week. The first is, what's working for you in your business right now? And just let people start to share. And then the second question you can ask is something along the lines of, who has a new builder and how is that going and how are you launching them? Or you can ask a question like, what product I would love to hear product testimonials. What products are working for you or any of your customers? So ask questions if you don't want it to be a training call. let it, like, your people have value. So make your team meeting maybe once or twice a month all about hearing from them. Simply ask questions and then hear from them, and then they create value for each other. Okay. And then every 1 to 2 months, we do a focus class, which is like a continuing education class. And again, it's just another way for people to bring people on. So do I facilitate every single one of those things personally? No. I do it with a team of advocates. And those advocates can be on your team or not. But the key is like what systems need to go in place so that our advocates can be building a business without having to be experts in all of these things. And what you'll find is over time, they do become experts. They just need a little bit more time. And honestly, I don't want to wait for them to become experts. I want to help them along the way so that they can get to where they want to go faster. And when you have systems in place, that does that. The other thing that systems do, and somebody mentioned this, I saw in the chat, is people want to join a community where there's momentum. And so when you got these systems like your weekly class or your Learn Mores, and people are showing up there and there's 20 and 30 and 40 people there, they're like, oh, I want to be here. And so when you pull people out of that, like let's say that you got a leader who gets to gold and you're like, hey, I'm kicking you out of the nest. Like you can create your own systems now. What you're doing is literally removing them out of the momentum that your group as a whole is creating. You want people in your momentum. And you guys, the doTERRA comp plan, you're getting paid in the long run the most on your unilevel. So you want your advocates in momentum with you because you want to be developing their unilevel and you want them to be developing their unilevel. So the more that you can create those systems that bring in community, that creates momentum, which creates long-term growth. Don't pull people out of momentum. Keep people into momentum, which is in your system. Just utilize them to help you execute your system. Okay. So I think that's the biggest thing. Those are the biggest things, you guys. So number 1, set goals. Number 2, use the quadrant. Number 3, build through partnership. Number 4, duplicate. Use duplication methods. And number 5, put systems into place. The last thing I'm just going to say on systems is I don't want you to leave here and be like, oh my gosh, I need to put all these systems in place this week. We put systems in place over the course of 3 to 6 months when we were seeing what needs were. We were assessing and being like, and we were tweaking, right? So we would try something and be like, okay, this worked really well. Let's keep this. This did not work well. Let's get rid of that. It's chewing and spitting, right? So it takes some trial and error, and it takes time to start putting systems and infrastructure and scaffolding into place. It's okay to take time. You don't need to do this overnight or like in 1 week or 1 month. Start to assess needs, hear from your people, get your partnerships into place, and then start looking at what system can we put in place one thing at a time, okay? All right, that's what I have for you. That was a lot.
Beautiful.
Chew and spit out the things you don't like. It's totally great. I'm not offended by that. And yeah, we'll go from there.
I love it. So, so good. I can tell from the chat that everyone is just so grateful and just eating up every morsel. So thank you so, so much. I did see a couple questions come through. Jeannie asks, do you have an updated class that includes VMG versus LLV?
What did she ask, Andy? Sorry.
Do you have an updated class that covers VMG?
Yeah, I have a shared one. I thought I shared it in the multiplication one, but also you guys need to know we have a big Canadian team. So even in our foundational wellness class, it includes VMG and LLV as options for foundational wellness. So if that's the class that you're seeing, both VMG and LLV, it's because we are serving our Canadian team as well as our team on our weekly classes. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Awesome. And I just want to remind people that we've posted a lot of the resources that you've so generously shared at sharesuccess.com/leadership. So if you come down here, this is the video of Lindsay at leadership. And then this is the class that she teaches. And it's the foundational health PowerPoint. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lindsay. There's also some stuff from previous years. I think this is 2024. Yeah, it's under 2024 resources. So lots of great stuff there.
Awesome.
I also saw a question on Facebook, Adrian says, what's the survey that you do at the end of your class? And maybe you
Yep.
covered that.
Yep, it's in the multiplication replay.
Okay.
It's in the description there. It has the survey that we use. So
Okay,
that should
perfect.
be in the description of that YouTube replay.
Okay. And for those who aren't able to copy and paste the links, you can just go to youtube.com/share success and then click on videos, and you'll see Lindsay's video. And in the description there is all these links.
And I'll try to get, like last month after the call, I went into the Share Success group and I tried to also put in any links for people that have asked that like maybe hadn't been posted. I can scan through things today as well, but most of the things that I get requested for resources are in the multiplication training video in the description or in the systems training that I did a year and a half ago in that description as well.
So Karina's asking if you, she says, so you do not teach the business or talk about it at all in your foundational wellness
Oh
class?
no, we do. We do. So
That's what I
every
thought.
week we do a 35 to 40-minute class, and then we do our survey and our giveaway, and then we do a 15-minute business overview. So yes, we absolutely talk about the business every single week, always. And if you're like, how, what are the ways or the strategies that you guys are doing multiplication in your business, like in your system? I would just watch the multiplication training that I did. It was about 6 weeks ago. And I think Angie already put that in the chat, that replay, but we can get that to you as well. And then Becky, you asked about the three-way call. Okay, so this is a great question, just about really a lot of things. So with a three-way call, what if you don't have anyone in your upline who has high beliefs? This is where your partnerships are really important. So do you see why healthy partnerships, like I would pull in a sideline, or maybe somebody who I respect, who is like, hey, I have somebody, that I'd love to have an opportunity call with. I really respect your belief. I would still love to be, I'm pulling off of your belief a little bit right now. Would you be open to doing this three-way call? It does not have to be an upline, you guys. It can be in your partnership. It can be outside of your group. So think beyond your upline. I'm sure your uplines are wonderful, but there's so much gold here at doTERRA. Here is something I just shared with, like, I feel like doTERRA, you guys, is this incredible business. It's like a car. You think that you're like, oh, I got a really great, amazing, like, I don't know, Honda Accord. And you're like, I like Honda Accords. They last a long time. Honda's a great brand. But you realize when you get into doTERRA and you lift up the hood that it's a Ferrari. And you're like, holy crap, like under this hood, this is not a Honda Accord, this is a Ferrari. And so I want you to know you have a Ferrari in here. So your Ferrari is not just your upline, your Ferrari is everybody who is around you. So just know, like, tap into the gold that is around you and develop those relationships.
Amen. Thank you so much. It's been so useful for me and Natalie to see doTERRA through the lens of Amy and then Lindsay and Heather and others, because we literally all hit the jackpot. We're in the literal jackpot gold mine of the century. And so, yeah, when Lindsay sees a lot of the casualness or the just kind of the ho-hum attitude in doTERRA, she's like, what in the actual heck? Like,
yes, Ferrari, friends, Ferrari, not Honda Accord.
Okay, Jeff is asking how or where do we find sidelight partners?
Such a great question. And Andy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but let me just give you guys some of my thoughts. One, start thinking about it, because sideline partners don't come to you. You start building relationships with others. And I want a couple principles here. So when you're looking for people who are like kind of sidelines, be patient in that process, but also don't just be looking at what can people do for me, but what can I do to add value to others. And so you could do something as simple as, even in this chat, whether you're on Facebook or on Zoom, say, hey, I would love to, here's my email, here's my handle on social media. Like, anybody who, like, one of you might volunteer and say, I'm happy to start a group. Another one would say, I'm happy to start a group. Start looking for people, because there's already people in the chat who are like, I would love to start a group, or I would love to be part of a group. Like, you can do that right now. If they're on this call this week, they're investing in their business at some level. And so I would just say, start looking at these people right here who are committed to this week. When you are I would look at some of the trainings that are being done, who's doing trainings, even on your own team or greater team. Start looking at who is doing a business that you respect, and they're going in a trajectory or in a path and at a pace that maybe you are, where it's like I wouldn't be too out of alignment by partnering with these people, but they would challenge me a bit. But we're going in a similar pace, in a similar direction at a similar time. So they might be like one step ahead of you in rank or one step below you in rank, but they're, they want to create some of the same things and in the same ways. So look for some like-minded people, and don't shy away from people who have different gifts than you, but just be watching for that. And it doesn't have to start out by being super formal, you guys. I think some of it is like, hey, I'd love to hop on a call with you at some point and just hear how you're doing X or how you're doing Y. Like, it doesn't have to be like, we're creating this formal group. Like, let things happen kind of organically. And over time, you're going to find like, hey, I've got a couple of people here who I really respect. So I would say start that process. Any other thoughts, Andy?
No, that's so true. And there are some great Facebook groups out there. doTERRA has different groups for different ranks.
Yes.
There's one for gold and platinums. I'm not sure about premiers or silvers, but just
I think there's one for silvers.
okay, perfect. So yeah, just be wide open. I love your idea about being intentional beforehand, getting clear on what it is you want and what it is you have to offer. But yeah, they don't wait for them to come to you. It's a project to find them and be clear, be forward. Like you're gonna have to reach out to multiple people and just make it happen. It's so worthwhile.
Yep. And I'll just say, because I've been in a lot of groups over time where I've learned a ton. Okay, I don't want this to come across rude, but I do want to be clear. Nobody wants the pessimistic person who always comes needing and wanting from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be that.
So
don't be
true.
that, because people are not going to want to partner with you on that. So I would say, like, I love what Matt Hall always says, check your mind and open your mouth. And so show up. If you are ready to show up in a group, it's because you're showing up to grow and to solve for problems, right? So those are the things, like, don't show up so other people will fix your problems. Show up because you are ready to solve and you are ready to grow. If you are not in that place yet, I would actually recommend you're not ready for a group yet. Maybe start working with some people, work on some mindset stuff, put some things into place for you, and then pursue some of those partnerships. But and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're actually not going to get out of it what you want if you're in that place, because what anybody provides is never going to be good enough. And because you're not in a good place to grow. So my heart honestly is for you to get in a great headspace and get to a place of growth, so that you can show up and get even more what you could have ever dreamed or imagined from those partnerships.
A to the man. Yeah, I mean, if you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, then are you the person that you want to become? Are you thinking? Are you speaking? I often in trainings, I ask people, okay, imagine that every word that you've ever said, every thought that you've ever had was being recorded and then fed into like an AI engine. And then if the AI engine were to summarize what you say, what you think, who you are, what would it say? Is it a negative Nelly?
Yep.
Or is it someone with hope and positivity and light? So it's a choice, right?
Yep. 100%. Love it.
Okay, any last questions before we wrap today? Well, there's just so much gratitude in the chat for everything you've offered. Lindsay, thank you so, so much. Can I just give one little teaser? So Seth Brizame, Rod Richardson, Natalie, and I have been working on a new class, and we gave a little sneak peek at the last Experience doTERRA. And Lindsay, what did you think?
It is amazing. My people are like, when do we get that? It is so good. We actually took some pieces of it. I launched a new 6 builder this week, you guys. So presidential is coming, but we used part of those slides And we asked for feedback from everybody who attended that class. And they were like, those slides on the state of America, all that were like, it was so impactful. And so, yeah, my team is like drooling. When do we get this? So we're ready, Andy, whenever you're ready.
I love it. So excited. It's not quite ready for launch, but we will let you know as soon as we do. So we're just putting the last touches on it, and then we'll make that available. So super excited. So grateful for you, Lindsay. So grateful for this whole doTERRA tribe and for the cause that we all get to be involved in. We are, gosh, I can't think of a better cause. I can't think of a more important and more needed message to share with the world. And we're blessed to be part of it.
Yeah.
So,
Andy, can I finish on one thing about co-impact
please.
sourcing? Okay, you guys, I hope you're still with me, because I've been thinking about this. Everybody in doTERRA like loves co-impact sourcing, right? It's like, look at what we're able to do globally to uplift families and individuals and communities out of poverty, right? Do you know our business opportunity is the co-impact sourcing that we get to offer? Do you realize that? Like, our business opportunity allows us to do what our product does globally. We get to offer to people to uplift them out of poverty. Don't forget that. Open your mouth about our business. It is amazing. It is our co-impact sourcing option that we literally get to hand people and offer them. So open your mouth about the business. Even if you fumble over every piece of it, what you are offering is a gift, and you will never offer something amazing to the wrong person. Like, the right person will always say yes to that opportunity. Now I'm finished. I'm off my soapbox.
Mic drop.
We can move on with our Wednesday.
Absolute mic drop. I love that so much because like the co-impact sourcing model is really a philosophy. And that philosophy is, I respect the dignity and the sovereignty of others. And it doesn't matter if you're in a developing country or if you're at the top of the food chain in, the highest producing GDP country in the world. I respect your dignity, your desire to produce and create, and I respect that desire and dignity. So that's what we do when we source our oils. That's what we do when we offer the business opportunity. And it's so true. It really is. Gosh, no words. Couldn't have said it better than you.
Sit on that and then open your mouth about the business. What, right, Maria? Yes.
So true.
Thanks, you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lindsay, and thank you all for joining. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Andy.